Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Comics. This is John Stewart Emerald Knight #1, a Green Lantern book. I haven't read any Green Lantern stuff in quite a while, probably since back in the late 2000s, towards the end of Jeff Johns' run. I haven't read anything since then. So I was really needing to do probably needing some catch up on what's been happening with the Green Lanterns in recent years. But this is written by, what's his name? Jeffrey Thorne, I believe is his name. Where is it here? Yeah, so Jeffrey Thorne with art by Marco Santucci. And the art is pretty good. So what grabbed my attention was the cover. You know, it's a good-looking cover. And so then I took a look on the inside, and I thought the interior art was pretty good. So I decided, I'll get this and give it a try. So we start out with this alien world, and it's invaded by this kind of angelic-looking army. And it's inhabited by these kind of, weird-looking little alien guys. And then John Stewart and a bunch of Green Lanterns show up. Now, they don't have power rings. Instead of power rings, they're using these, I don't know if you can see them, but they're orbs. There's some sort of sphere that they're holding. I don't know why they aren't using rings, but John Stewart himself is using this kind of like energy sword. Anyway, so they fight the angelic-looking bunch. And without getting too dragged down into it, what we learn is that there's this being named Isak. And Isak is sending this army around to basically conquer and wipe out the civilizations that inhabit various worlds. Now, we learn he's doing this because Isak is one of the new gods. And, of course, there's been multiple reboots in DC over the last, decade or so, like 3 or 4 at least. And Isak, he's a new god, and he doesn't like all these changes. Basically, every time there's a reboot or sort of the universe gets changed, the new gods change in some way, and he doesn't like that. And so he's trying to basically recreate the old DC universe, right? And I got to say, the art is pretty good. I mean, if you can see here, the Santucci, he's a pretty good artist. Now, they defeat the invading army and drive them back, and then Lonar, who's one of the new gods, shows up, and he sort of explains all this to them about what's happening. And then what we find out is that he's using hypertime to do this. Now, I don't know if you know the whole idea of hypertime. Hypertime was introduced kind of back in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. And back then, of course, DC still had just the one universe, the one post-crisis universe, right? And so hypertime was kind of this cheat to get around the whole idea of there being no multiple universes. And hypertime basically represented alternate realities that would appear, but they would be temporary. They would appear for a time, then cease to exist. What Isak is doing is he's using hypertime to get these lives, to sacrifice worlds and lives that never really existed, or if they did exist, they died out long ago or something like that. It's kind of what he's doing to sort of rationalize sacrificing all these lives. So they decide to track down and confront Isak. And John Stewart, now again, I haven't read Green Lantern for a while, so I don't know what's going on with John Stewart, but he's apparently really powerful now. And then he sort of uses his power to give some of these Green Lanterns energy swords like he has. There's about 8 of them. And then he and this other 8, they're going to go and take on Isak directly and defeat him. So Lonar creates boom tubes for them, and they go to this planet where Isak is sort of stationed at. And they have this big battle. There's a pretty cool looking image right there, right? And John Stewart confronts Isak himself. And Isak captures him. Then Isak shows him these images of the universe as it used to be. You know, it's just sort of like, I don't know if it's pre-Crisis, but it's certainly at least like pre-New 52. Pre-New 52 DC universe. DC, or rather it's pre-52 New Genesis. And he makes the argument that this current universe is corrupted. It needs to be taken back to the way it used to be. And then we find out that this John Stewart that he has captured is actually a hypertime duplicate of John Stewart. The real John Stewart here is here, and they're able to trick and then defeat Isak and capture him. And then the two John Stewarts are able to do this kind of mind meld thing with him. And then, you know, John Stewart tries to reason with him. And John Stewart says, if this universe is anything, it's change. And we have to change with it, like it or not. You're not evil despite all you've done, and you're not insane. You're terrified. You look around and see nothing but chaos, and you feel it reaching out and changing you too. And no matter how hard you fight, you're going to evolve because that's what life is. All this looking back, trying to recreate the past, it's a clue. It's time for you to admit what you are, Isak. Time to grow up. So I'm just going to ask you, what are you the god of? And at this point, I thought, you know what? I'm probably going to wind up calling this video, John Stewart Fights the God of Nostalgia. Well, Isak becomes the god of nostalgia. I mean, it's seriously. Oh boy. So yes, he becomes the god of nostalgia. And you know, he kind of like shakes his fist like, you know, curse you, John Stewart, and then like a Scooby-Doo villain, and then he just vanishes. So the enemy at DC these days is the fans. That's the real enemy. It's not Darkseid or whatever. Because, I mean, how many comics have there been from DC in the last couple of years that basically attack their own readers? Just not that long ago, there was a Young Justice issue. I thought about doing a video on it at the time, but I didn't, where the writer, some female writer, basically bashed the 1990s era of Young Justice as being racist and sexist and, you know, misogynist, whatever. And said that all the readers who liked it, well, didn't say it, but basically implied that all the readers who liked those stories back then were racist, sexist, and misogynist too. And that isn't the only other example. It's just the only one I can think of right now. And now you got this. So it's just, I mean, in a way it's laughable, but in a way it's just kind of sad and depressing. And honestly, the cosmology, the sort of cosmological stuff that Thorne presents here doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, it's like, okay, well, the gods, they become these ascended beings, but they're not truly gods yet. You know, they don't become gods until they choose some sphere of influence, right? Again, whether it's war or love or knowledge or whatever, and then they become gods. But there are trade-offs that put limits on their power. But as long as you don't choose, you remain this sort of, as they say in here, unfettered cosmic being, and that makes you more powerful. Okay, well, then why would any being choose? Why would you choose? Wouldn't you just choose to stay the way you are, which is what Isak was doing? But then apparently all you have to do is just ask them. You just ask them, what are you the god of? And then they, I guess, they just have to say, I'm the god of so-and-so, and then they stop being as powerful. Again, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So ultimately, again, it's some nice looking art by Santucci, but yeah, just more fan bashing. That's like the new trend in comics now, is just bashing your own readers. So yeah, thumbs down on this. Don't buy this issue. Don't buy this series. And I'm almost to the point of saying don't even buy DC at this point. It's just ridiculous. And I paid $6 for this thing. Jesus. Anyway, have you read this? If you did, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what you thought of this review. And while you're at it, please do like and share the video. And I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.